Our next speaker, I'm very, very proud to introduce. He's just been elected our 11th District Congressman. He's our current chairman of the board of Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. He's the previous supervisor from this district, Providence District, and he's also responsible for this library that you're sitting in today. The land for this library was the first land ever donated in Fairfax County by a developer for the building of a library. I'd like to introduce Gerry Connolly.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks so much. Well, thank you so much, and I'm sorry I'm running a little bit late. This was a freshman orientation for the new Congress up at the John F. Kennedy School up at Harvard, and so I've been spending the week boning up on current affairs, which involves some history. And of course, coming from Cambridge and Boston, they like to think there's more history up there than any other. But I set them straight. Although I'm from Boston, so I'm a little conflicted. But at any rate, I was just telling Sharon Bullivan, my good friend, that it was a great experience. On the other hand, one is overwhelmed with the magnitude of the economic challenge the United States faces right now. And if you like history, I recommend a book called The Defining Moment by Jonathan Adler, which is on the stands right now, and it's not a very big volume, but it's about the first 100 days of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and in 1933. And when you read that book, you are struck by the parallels. They are very eerie and a little unsettling even. In any event, we'll have to see. But I think in great challenges also lie great opportunities. So there's a great opportunity for us to maybe make some really profound and, I hope, positive progressive changes for our country as we try to face this economic challenge. For me, history is a labor of love. And I heard what you said, and sometimes in the teaching of it. My daughter feels that way. And, of course, it breaks my heart because I read a history book a week on average. And she kind of finds history a little bit boring. And to me, it's a story. It's the narrative of something, all of which is pretty interesting because it gets down to human nature and all that sort of thing. And our book on Jamestown, and by the way, of precious memory to be remembered to Sally Ormsby, who also shepherded this project and was persistent beyond words. I mean, she'd come to me and initially, you should have a committee and a task force that pulls together some history for Jamestown. I thought, well, that's true, and I love history, and she's absolutely right. So we formed that committee, and then, of course, she said, we're going to do a book. I said, well, that's a great idea. She said, won't even cost you any money. I said, great. Then, of course, she came to me saying, well, it's going to cost you $5,000. And then it was $10,000, and I think it got us to $15,000. But at any rate, it was well worth it, as you can see from the book if you haven't read the book. But some of the excerpts you were reading are very poignant and really kind of capture both the wide variety of history here in Fairfax County and some of the really interesting stories that get at human beings who shape history. And we have much to celebrate here in Fairfax County. History that goes way back. In fact, I used to feel a little bit bad when I was Providence supervisor, that here there wasn't the kind of history there was in Mount Vernon or Braddock District where Sharon Bullivan is from, and things like that. But actually, the oldest artifact ever found in Fairfax County was found here in Providence District, over 12,000 years old, an arrowhead, and that's the oldest artifact ever found in the county. So we had a little bit of history that we could celebrate. Anyway, this book was a labor of love. I loved some of the excerpts you read and pointed out. And to our young person, thank you so much for being a budding author. I hope that this whetted your appetite and you got the bug and you continue writing and researching history, because it's a wonderful vocation, if not avocation. And celebrating our history is really one of the wonderful things you get to do when you're in public life. As part of the stewardship, leaving behind a legacy, not only in form of written history, but also oral history. And I know Cora's working on that in terms of Asian American history here in this community. And also, frankly, the preservation of actual history in terms of homes and historic properties. In the past, we weren't such great stewards of that. And we've tried to make up for that in the last decade or so. So anyway, I'm delighted to be with you today. This is a great book. I hope you buy it if you haven't already, and I'm willing to sign a few if anyone wants a signature. I was just a pretty face behind this project. But it is really a great book and a great period of history to celebrate here in Fairfax County. And I hope the next time we celebrate Jamestown, I hope whoever is around at that point does the same thing we did in terms of celebrating history. Thank you so much for having me here today. Bye-bye.